She was fragrant love in curry, bursting with color and flavor, prairie maharani. She was saris and painted toes with 2 white face powder, my special favorite chocolate biscuit cake, and chai. My name is Sabrina Samuel. I've been in Red Deer, Alberta, Canada for over a decade, and I recently wrote a poetry chapbook called She Was. One of the best poems that I wrote was about my Nana, who I loved very much, who I had for quite some time in my life, and she was a seminal person that really shaped who I was, and she filled in all the cracks. Nanas love you like moms and aunties can't, and it's a very special kind of love. And I would go to her home and we would have chai and talk for hours, and she'd feed me the way that Nanas do, all that love in the curry. Jody Dory is a pretty amazing Red Deerian, and her mom, Vonda, connected us. It was like 2 families actually meeting, because her mom is a writer as well, and Jody has been so supportive of my work. When I tasted Jody's chai, she's got all kinds of products, but when I tasted Jody's chai, it was like making a memory again with my Nana, which I so enjoyed. And you know, the love of her mom, the love of our, all those who come before us needs to be remembered, whether it be in the things they do or what they make in the kitchen for us. So much love. Here's to Jody and her family. Good?
My name is Jody Dory, and I'm a Canadian. I live in Red Deer, Alberta, Canada, and I make chai. So in the beginning stages of chai 20 years ago, I would say I was more identified as a mom and a wife and maybe a volunteer. And then as I got more into the chai business, I would maybe 10 years ago have identified myself as a mom and a wife and an artist. And then I did chai part-time. And then about 5 years ago, I sort of added to my identity as being an entrepreneur and somebody who was focusing on making chai, building a chai business, a woman-owned business, and trying to get this handmade product out into the community and central Alberta. And I feel like that is where I'm at right now. So I've just worked hard at that over the last 5 years.
I'm Angela. I'm Jody's oldest daughter, and it's been a journey with chai with our family over the last couple of decades almost. Mom introduced us to chai with Heather. It feels like a lifetime ago that my entire adult life has involved chai.
Almost 2 decades.
And it's really been an integral part of our family. Every family event that I can think of has had chai at it. Iced chai in the summer, hot chai in the winter, and Mom, we all support Mom in our different ways. Of course, my sister Jessica has more of a supporting role because she's in Red Deer. I'm in Calgary, and so I'm kind of in charge of some of the deliveries she's in Calgary and bringing, you know, chai back and forth. And I'm just so happy to do that and support Mom, just a little way that we can give back in all the ways that she's given to us, and chai being such an important part of our lives.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I am Jody's youngest daughter, and my role is more face-to-face with the customers. I do markets with her. It's so much fun doing the markets in the fall and the winter. We have lots of fun on the car rides and setting up with the customers.
I call her mini-me.
Yeah, the first couple markets, we're trying to figure out how everything went, and now we're just like a well-oiled machine, setting up, taking down. Lots and lots of fun, I think. It's a very busy time of year. It's spring, summer, fall, and chai season, which is a fun time. I like fall and winter chai season. The last couple years, Mom's let me have my own little side business with chai. I get to make something special at Christmas. I've done some Dunkaroos. That was fun. Chai spice cookies. Chai spice cookies and chai spice icing. And then I did this year I did a chai simmer pot. That was lots of fun. And we did chai honey butter that was kind of like cinnamon spread for on your toast or in your cinnamon buns. Yeah, it's fun being creative with the chai spices.
First of all, I would like to say, what is Chai Wallahs? What does Chai Wallahs mean? Chai means tea, and Wallahs means cellar. And in India, the Chai Wallahs have the job of making chai in the street corners. They sell it on trains, and that's their identity. People have their favorite chai wallah, and they might use different spices or different milk. For us, we make a tea base, a black tea base, and we grind fresh spices, and we put it into the orange pekoe tea, and we package it up. That's how we started, and we continue to make the same recipe, probably for about 2 decades now. So it's been a long time. We're pro at it, and we source our product from the same wholesaler. So we make a tea. We make the rooibos tea, which is a caffeine-free with African red bush tea, and we make a black tea base, which is the traditional, authentic Indian way of making tea. We also have a product called chai honey, which has all of the spices that are in the chai, but no tea. We grind it really fine, and it suspends in a local unpasteurized honey. And it just seems to get more flavorful. You can actually put that into your tea. You can put it into your baking or your oatmeal. You can even put it on your salmon or ham. And then we have a product called a concentrate, which we're just launching this year. People talk about how they can't make chai like I can. And so I've decided to make a concentrate and sell it in a glass growler. And so that's basically the products. We have a lot of sort of fringe products, some sugar that we bring out at Christmas time, and we also have chai spice, which is used by a lot of bakeries to add to things like icings and that sort of thing. And so yeah, that's our product line. Well, that takes me back probably 2 decades ago. And my friend Heather and I love to do creative projects together. And the doorbell rang one day, and she showed up with this bag of spices and a magazine and a heavy mortar and pestle. And she just had this smirky little grin on her face. And she said, "Would you like to make masala chai?" I didn't know what it was. She'd caught me for sure. I had no idea what it was. And we just started grinding up the spices and making, we probably went home with about 4 cups each of this mixture of spices and tea. And throughout maybe, I don't know, a couple of months, we fed it to friends and family, forced them to drink it because nobody knew what it was. There was nothing in coffee shops or unless you knew somebody that it was a tradition for them. We didn't have anybody in our life that knew. Anyways, we fed it to friends and family, and they adored it as much as we did. And we would call each other and say we were out, and we would get together and do it again. So that sort of led us to marketing it. And it was a hard sell. I think people really felt sorry for us at the markets because we would engage them and tell them where it was from and all that sort of thing, but they just didn't know. So we would sell 3 or 4 bags at a time in Wetaskiwin or Lacombe. And eventually, maybe 2 years down the road, Oprah got her name behind Starbucks chai, and it started to pop up in all of the coffee shops, and you could just see the light bulb go on for people. And they would see us in a market, and they would see those big words, CHAI, and they would kind of make their way towards us, and they knew what chai was, and they were super excited to be able to make it in their own kitchen. And I think it just builds from there. The more people you talk to, the more that they engage, the more you even have people that have traveled to India or people that have that in their history. They would tell us about their grandmother making them chai when they were a baby, and their family kind of gathering around this meditation in the morning. So lots of stories were gathered, and we started reading a lot more about it on the internet. And we met with a few people from different cultures that celebrated masala chai as well. And that's kind of how it formulated for us in our life.
Hi, I'm Neelam Satikumar. I came here in Canada in 2011 with my family. Right now I am running a business at Neelam's Kitchen. I started this business in 2020 in November, so quite more than 1 year ago. I always enjoy cooking, so cooking is my passion. Being an Indian woman is very, very normal and natural stuff that we learn cooking from our childhood. So I learned most of my cooking from my mom, and my mom learned it from my grandmom. So it is like family's thing, and it is my hereditary thing. So that reflects in my restaurant cooking also. One day we made a tea, so we had a tea party, and with kids we made tea. One of my kids chose to take a lead, and he served kids. He served tea to all his fellow and me, and it was really fun, and they learn a new skill. So first of all, they learn tea is a drink. So they were very, very small kids, like around 2 to 3 years old. So they learned that, oh, tea is another drink, and it was really fun time. So the spices that I use for my curry is very versatile. I order a lot of my spices from India. Some of the spices are available here, so I also buy my spices, and every curry has different spice blend, and I make my own spice blend. So spicy, and some of the spices that goes in my regular chai also, and those spices are mainly ginger powder, cardamom, long, saunf, and some dry mint. If the fresh mint is available, I would prefer to use fresh mint, fresh ginger, and peppercorn, like black peppercorn. So I keep my masala ready for chai. So chai is the first thing that I make in in the morning. We start our morning with tea. It's like that. Without tea, honestly, I cannot go out. So tea is the thing that must have. So, and it's not only me. Lot of Indian families have the same kind of stuff, that they start their morning with tea.
We did not start this business to make money. It was not set up to make money. It was something that we wanted to do to spend time together and be creative, and experimented a lot of different places, and we got to connect with our community through chai. And those were the pluses. We enjoyed that, but it was definitely not a money-making venture. And then as we started connecting with the community and feeding them chai, we decided that was the best way to go. We had the next issue was that we had to source all of these spices so that we could give people the best chai that we knew existed. So we went on an adventure of asking questions to the Indian community in Calgary. And that was so cool because we got stories about their traditions, and we eventually met up with a family called the Datani family in Calgary, and they were able to get us the spices that we needed. So we were able to check that off the list. And then I think the next barrier was we had a community in Red Deer in central Alberta where we just didn't have a lot of cultures in that time that were sharing their cuisine, and so people didn't have that experience with different types of foods. And so here I was, you know, I had learned about chai, and I had that knowledge that I could impart to them. And so it skewed a little bit because I'm not Indian, I'm not from a kitchen that grew up with chai, but I gave them what I knew and what I learned, what we all learned from people in that community. And yeah, I think those were our biggest barriers, was the spices and just people not knowing what chai was. Chai creates a community. Whenever I go into a social situation, we start talking about ourselves, and chai does come up. And particular times that I can think of is talking with a poet in Red Deer. Her name was Sabrina, and she has her family, a part of her family is from India, and she was able to tell me about her experience growing up and having chai made for her by her grandma. And when her grandma passed away, she didn't have access to that taste and those smells anymore. And she started telling me about the poetry that she'd written, and she'd actually just produced a book. So I was able to attend one of her book readings, poetry readings, and then I participated by reading one of her poetry pieces online, and she was raising money for the Period Promise. So that whole connection came from one conversation that we had that brought up chai. The other one that I can think of is in our farmers market, we have a vendor that sells Indian food. So naturally in conversation, the chai comes up, and we're able to share our love of spices. And she just was super knowledgeable about spice and how it enters your body, depending on if it's oil and if it's water, if it's ground. And again, I just learned so much about people just with those chai conversations. Meeting Raj was an important part to the puzzle. I would say 12 years ago, 13 years ago, we met a man who had a restaurant in Red Deer, and he was Indian and cooked, he was kind of famous, cooked his recipes in an industrial area, but people came from a lot of places to eat his food. And he invited us. I think basically he said, if you're going to produce chai, you have to know how to cook it the right way. So he brought us into his kitchen and proceeded to show us how you actually make a traditional chai on the stove. Added the spices from a masala box, brought it to a boil, a double boil, after he added the milk. And he was really generous with his time. We had 1,000 questions for him. And he brought our product into his store and sold it to his customers, which was really generous. And yeah, I don't really know where he is right now, but it would be interesting to reconnect with him.